is Step 1 with Freddie Wilson. Another episode of Step 1. I'm Freddie Wilson. This is our 20th episode, which is a huge accomplishment. And I just want to take the time to thank all of you who've supported the show and watched it from the beginning. I wouldn't be doing this without you. It really means a lot to me. Thank you to all of you who've come on the show these past 20 episodes. Again, it really means a lot. It's been a ton of fun, and I'm glad that I get to do this every week. With that, we got a great show for you today. My good friend, Payton Lagomarsino, is returning to the show. All right, let's ride. So once again, with football being over, March Madness and NBA and NHL playoffs haven't really started yet. We're in a bit of a lull in the sports world. The biggest story of the week was the debate over people storming the court after big upset wins in college basketball. In case for some reason you didn't hear about this, Wake Forest got a huge win against Duke. The Wake Forest fans stormed the court, and a Wake Forest fan ran into Duke center Kyle Filipowski. It looks like Kyle is going to be fine. Yeah, he was a bit shaken up, but he's sore. So he's going to be fine for the most part. But this sparked a huge debate. I will say, I'm a pro court storming person. It's a great tradition of college basketball, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's pretty unique. That being said, I'm also pro safety. I don't want anyone getting hurt out there, but court storming also is kind of dangerous, and you have hundreds, if not thousands, of people storm court. So we do want to keep safety in mind. Like, if we're going to do this, let's make sure everyone's safe. None of the players or like coaches get hurt. You know, obviously I don't want like people storming the court to get hurt, but like again, that's the risk they take when they storm court. We don't need the players to get hurt. All right, so since this incident, it did involve Duke basketball. I did reach out to former Duke basketball manager and friend of a show, Jeremy Spire, for a comment. He said he is not inherently anti-court storming, but that storming a random game, his words, not mine, in February is absurd and quite frankly embarrassing. Again, those are his words, not mine. I will say that for Wake Forest fans, this isn't just a random game. This is like their Super Bowl. Like, playing Duke is their Super Bowl. Wake Forest isn't going to the Final Four. They're not competing for championships. But if you beat Duke, that's a win. And that's like a huge win for your season and for your program. So I did tell Jeremy this, and he replied, so you're admitting that Wake Forest sucks. And I agree, they aren't usually that great. But I think you should celebrate winning a big game against a team like Duke. Like, you know, you don't beat Duke very often if you're Wake Forest. I think this is a big win for them. I think this is a good thing. I do think if we go down the road of trying to ban basketball court storming, this starts a slippery slope because next thing you know, they're going to be talking about football field rushes for college football. And I don't want that. That's a great thing. And that's really fun as someone who's done a couple field rushes. So let's hope we get this resolved. We keep safety in mind, and let's keep this tradition going. And now let's get to my interview with Payton Lagomarsino. Hey, today for our 20th episode, that's right. We made it 20. We welcome on a reoccurring guest. Payton, how are you doing?
I'm really well. How are you?
I'm great. All right, I gotta ask you. So a couple weeks back, out of the blue at like midnight, you texted me in like all caps. I met a real life fan of a New York Jets.
Oh, don't put that in here. No, and that.
Oh, it's already been discussed on the show, by the way.
No, I will just say that I didn't meet them in person. It was
You
over
met
the
them on a
internet.
dating app.
And obviously, and they'll probably make a lot of.
New York Jets fans are a special breed.
They are, and I knew when the moment that I heard it, I was like, "That's the biggest red flag I've ever heard my entire life." Because they said it so like proud, and I was like,
Was it
okay,
in like their profile, or did they just like
no.
come up and say like I'm a
They
big
said
fan
that.
of the New York
Yeah,
Jets?
they said that they were a fan, and I said, "Oh boy, well that's interesting." And then I asked them about like this season, and they still had hope, which is what New York Jets fans normally have a
Oh, they
lot of
haven't had hope. This was the first season they had hope, and that hope got diminished very
very quickly,
quickly.
very quickly. I think like
Well,
week
it took
4,
four plays.
yeah. So
Like, good God. But yeah, you told me you're learning more about football to be on the show.
trying very hard. So
Season's over. I actually need to learn ways to like cope with life without football because that is a struggle.
you do need to develop some hobbies, as
I have
I told
hobbies.
you. Lots of hobbies. This football, outside of football,
The podcast is
this
a
is
hobby,
is your
except the
hobby and it's about
podcast is
football.
about football. That's
Yeah.
the issue is that once football season ended, I'm like, oh, this show's gonna be a lot shorter.
Well, I mean, you could talk about like postseason and how there's like a lot of rumors about like trading happening.
Yeah, but like the NFL calendar doesn't start to like I think it starts March 1st. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah,
And
I
then
would.
we'll have the draft, which is all speculation.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to me.
We'll see where Bo
Maybe
next goes.
that's what I'm intrigued by. And then I want to see how like the trading and there's like a lot of like people are free agents and they're going to move. And again, I don't know how any of this works, and I love like how people get their hopes up about it. Like people are talking about how like Joey Bosa on the Chargers, they're like, he's a free agent and now he can go to the 49ers. And I'm like, okay,
Play with
well,
his brother.
yeah, I was like,
No
okay.
way is he
I don't know
going
how
to
any
the
of that
49ers.
I don't know how any of this works. And I was like, I don't know if that's like there's just because there's one spot and one spot here doesn't mean that they would. It's like an ideal. Again, I don't know how any of this works,
You
but
want to know a secret? I don't
okay,
know how it
yeah,
works
okay,
either.
yeah. I don't know because everyone's like, oh, it's possible. It's like saying that like it's possible that it's gonna rain in winter. It's like okay, there's an open spot there, so then they might take him, or somewhere else also might take him. So I don't know.
It's gonna be it, it could be a fun off season. I will admit, like, as far as off seasons go, nothing will beat a like prime, like late 2010s NBA off season. Nothing will beat that.
You'd have to explain to me how that works.
Just like that, especially that 2019 off season where like in like within seconds of free agency start, like all the big names were on different teams.
Okay,
And we just again, nothing will beat that type of off season.
you never
Or the year
know.
Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, there was that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's interesting because like a lot of the quarterbacks or like the big names have really long contracts that have been signed. There's a rumor that's going around, and again, I don't know how any of this works, but like Justin Herbert has a huge contract with the Chargers, and they're like, oh, when Jim Harbaugh showed up, he's like, yeah, let's boot this guy out of here.
That's a rumor. That's not going to happen. I think he
Yeah,
wants to
is
work
that
with
well, I mean, he's
Justin.
the coach, he's not like the GM, so I don't know also like how he would have that power in terms of like the roster. Like, I mean, they might give him a lot of power, like in terms of recruiting and stuff, but like booting your quarterback that has like a such a huge contract out of there, I don't think it's
They're
possible.
not getting rid of Herbert. They better not.
No, because he's the only, sorry to no offense to the Chargers, but like they're no one team, and you're hoping that you can build a team around him, and who else are you going to put on that team?
I also don't think Chargers fans are real.
They're what?
I don't think Chargers fans are real.
I don't think I've ever met one. It's just like how I just figured out that like LA Rams were as a team. I was like, what are you talking about?
Rams fans exist.
Well, now I know that. I didn't see again. I'm new to football. And so like I just was like,
But
oh, well, the only teams that exist are the 49ers, the Raiders,
the Packers.
the Packers. I was like the Seattle Seahawks I knew existed, and I knew the Patriots existed. I knew the Saints existed. I knew the Cowboys existed, and I was like, that's all of the teams. That's all I knew.
Oh, what teams need to know?
That's all I needed to know. Yeah.
But yeah, the
Oh, and I
Chargers,
knew that the Steelers existed too.
Steelers do
Okay.
exist. But the Chargers, when they were like showing that one fan like repeatedly on TV, like the like screaming Chargers fan, and they showed her multiple
One.
games too. Like there's a theory she's just a plant that she's not actually a Chargers fan
Oh wow. Well,
because she got way too into it.
that's interesting. You have to show me this clip because, yeah, I just
I'll
don't know if
send
people
you it.
are paying to attend these games. I was gonna try to attend a Baltimore Ravens game against the Chargers back in November, and
That would have been a
well,
fun
that was
game.
yeah, it was a pretty good game, and I was looking to buy them in like August or
Mm,
September, so early on, maybe not as early as I need to be, and it was like Taylor Swift tickets.
I mean, it's also LA.
is that how it works? Just to go to a game, the SoFi Stadium is just more expensive. It was like $300 for nosebleeds.
It depends on the team. Usually Chargers tickets are cheaper from what I've been told,
That's what I would have thought because they haven't been to a Super Bowl in a while or
or ever.
ever. Thank you. I'm
Or
good now.
maybe they have.
I
I
think
don't
they've been to
remember
like
when. It
one or two.
was a long time ago.
We don't fact check here. This is gonna end up like smearing our entire like careers in the next
Half
20
my
years.
job is to not to fact check.
I feel like that is your job, a fact check.
I just spew nonsense and hope it sounds good.
This is bad. I want to talk about the overtime rule, and
The overtime rule.
I want to hear about your opinion regarding it. So
They should
they
change the
changed.
college football and overtime rules. That is the best one.
Okay, so that was the new one. Is
The-
the college one?
no, the college one's the one where they start at a 25-yard line.
Oh,
And so if you serve at 25, and if each team gets the ball.
hmm
So if you score a touchdown, first team scores a touchdown, and the second team scores a touchdown, you play another one. Starting the second overtime period, you have to go for two if you score. And then after that,
that's
if you're
a
tied up,
bad overtime rule.
no, it's so much better
That's
because
another game of football.
no, the current NFL playoff overtime, because they do it differently in the regular season. Because in the regular season, if you get the ball, if you win a coin toss, get the ball, and you
Yeah,
score a touchdown,
yeah,
you win the game. It's over.
yeah.
The other team doesn't get a chance. It
Which,
used to be you just had to kick a field goal. Then they changed like, okay, let's make them score a touchdown at least.
mhm. Well, no, and that's what I had thought too. When I want to know when did they make the change? Because the Chiefs knew about the change.
Because it was the reason why was because the Chiefs caused that change.
Yeah, wasn't it against?
It was against the Bills, that Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes game. Great game, by the way.
Yeah,
All time
Allen
play
wanted it
game.
changed. So wait, so just like let's reel back. Let's go back and
So
say,
now in the playoffs,
yeah,
if you both teams have an opportunity to possess the ball,
yes, for like 12 minutes, and then it's you get like
or
four options for down or whatever. But
it's not even 12 minutes, they
why
just
did
had the
this
clock on.
game? But why did this game decide? So Josh Allen said, "I want this changed," and then he ended up losing anyway to
I,
Mahomes. But why would he want
I
this
think
changed?
I don't think it was just Josh Allen. I think all of us want to change because it ended the game. Once the Chiefs won a coin toss, all momentum was on their side. All they had to do was go score a touchdown.
Yeah.
That was it. And it would have been really cool if the other team could have possessed the ball just to match it.
So that was this season that they were
They
like, oh, and
they
so then
changed it
they
like 2
changed
years ago.
right
It just hadn't
after.
happened yet.
Mm,
So they changed the rules like 2 years ago. It hadn't
okay.
happened yet because they not all every game goes in overtime,
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah.
unfortunately.
That's very
So
fun.
it goes in, and then the 49ers allegedly didn't know the rules. That's why they're like, oh, we'll kick the ball first.
Yeah. Which, as a 49ers fan, and as someone that's debating not being a 49ers fan anymore, I don't know what team I'm trying to choose allegiance, and I wasn't allegiant to any of those teams. I grew up a 49ers fan, so I should, and have like, remember, we've gone to the Super Bowl, it feels like at least like three times in my lifetime,
It's been
maybe
three
more.
times.
Okay, good. So I do have a good memory. Because I remember all the Super Bowl parties we would go to, and all the times like I was like 9, I'd be like, I just hope the 49ers win. And how like it always was so, and I guess it's for anyone that like is a child and they're a sports fan, and it's very confusing to them, and it's very emotional for no reason because I didn't understand it. But I'd be so sad. And then this time I was like, okay, we have a great team. What could go wrong? And to lose because they didn't know the rules of their game, of their own game that they are professionally playing.
Mhm.
That's interesting to me.
It
And
probably came
again,
up in a meeting. They just probably forgot. I don't know how you forget that one.
I don't know how either. And that's where I'm like, I'll send empathy and be like, no one comes into my place of work and is critiquing me because it's not like I'm good at my job. But if it's like, if I sold donuts and then all of a sudden I stop, something happens within my business because like flour, the crop of flour is like out. And I need flour for my business, but I didn't know that flour was out. You'd have a problem. You're like, why
Make
didn't
gluten-free
you know?
donuts.
Yeah, why gluten free? Exactly. It's like, why didn't you know this one crucial thing, this important thing? It's a small rule, but like Also,
So
it's not really a
I'm
small
like
role.
pretty sure the ref explained it at the
He explained
coin
it
toss.
to Purdy,
He's
and I
like, "Well,
don't
starting
understand.
a new game." He's
Will
like,
we all?
"Both
That was the
teams will
first time that
possess the
everyone.
ball."
Yeah. And I remember that's also the problem was I was listening to it. So when they said, "Oh, I just learned this," I was like, "He just said it to everyone on national television, and then he said it to your quarterback. And shouldn't your quarterback been like, hold on, I'm so sorry. Like, let me just
I don't
actually
think it was
ask."
Purdy doing a coin toss. I don't know who was doing it. He wasn't the captain for the coin
Mm,
toss. I don't remember who it was.
no, it was Purdy.
It was Purdy. Oh, I did not know that.
Where's my phone?
Or I
Let me just look this up.
oh, so usually the coin toss is more ceremonial, but it's not ceremonial. It is important, but usually it's just a formality.
Mhm.
Yeah, nothing will ever beat like the Packers. This is 2003. I want to say
Oh,
Seahawks
you know
playoff
what?
game.
Maybe it wasn't. It wasn't him.
Matt Hasselbeck wins the coin toss. He's like, "We want the ball and we're gonna score," and then he throws a pick six. And the Packers win. Glorious. Just,
Yeah.
I
It
didn't
was a
watch
hard
that
it
game.
was
I
like a
was
really hard game
5.
to watch. Yeah, that one
It
was
was a hard game to watch, especially if
just
you're a
not
Niners.
entertaining.
When you're
It had
rooting for the Niners, because roommate's a Niners fan, so
makes
we were a
sense.
pro Niners household,
Yeah.
and the
And I
game was
was
like
too.
boring for like 3 quarters as well.
Yeah. I was just more disappointed that I wasn't seeing like a lot of good football, which maybe it's a lot of good defense, a lot of good defense. To me, that's not
Yeah,
fair because good football is like two sides of the coin.
it was
It's really
great
good defense,
defense.
actually fantastic defense. It was just hard when you were like when it came down to like making plays. Both sides couldn't make good plays.
Mm,
Um, which then also you're like, okay, it's the biggest game against two quote unquote, hopefully, you making the assumption that these are the two best teams, so they're playing against each other. You would assume, but it was literally like a stalemate until like past halftime, like quarter, like Q3.
yeah,
But also the fumble, and then George Kittle saying hi to another guy and losing the ball too. Did
he
you
was
see
just
that?
flex. He was flexing on the guy. He got a good block, and he was just like flexing, and then the ball
I
gets fumbled.
I would like I already have enough nightmares at night thinking about like past interaction that I have, and I'm not wishing that upon anyone to like be like, what have I done? Not wishing that. I was just like, oh my, like you have to be locked in, and I can't imagine what it's like to be an athlete having to like lock in, be prepared for like a big game and the mental strain. I don't want to imagine it because it is incredibly great. But to have not caught that, I think like every practice you need to go and run an extra lap until the end of time.
They
That
might be
was
doing that because they lost the Super Bowl.
that was hard to watch. Like genuinely because you're like so you are misbehaving, which well, I don't even get on about Travis Kelsey misbehaving because that was like
He apologized.
and oh my gosh. Oh yeah, I apologize for punching my cat. That would be enough. No.
Punching his
I
cat. Wait,
apologize. I'm saying like if you were
oh,
to do
that's
something bad, you still did the bad thing just because I said I'm sorry. You were sorry that you got caught. You were
he.
sorry that
He
you
did get caught.
he
He
got
said
literally
he said
caught.
on his show. Apparently, like Andy Reid was like, Travis, I'm not crazy mad at you, but also you do realize there's a camera literally
Right
every
there.
angle that's pointed at me.
Yeah, well, I mean the audio
So
was
everyone
dropped for the
knows who
game.
did this.
Yeah,
Everyone
no.
knows it was you.
Yeah, the audio was dropped for the game except for that one interaction and we just don't know. But I think everyone was just anyway. It was
We're still a pro Travis Kelsey podcast.
are we
We always will be.
why are we always will be? No.
I all okay
When someone misbehaves, we cannot be.
until the breakup.
Well, we don't say those type of
We don't
words.
we don't speak about Taylor Swift.
We want everyone to be
New
happy.
album. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think that might be very murderous. I think that right now, especially right now, what she's doing in Sydney, waking up every morning and she's like, here's a new mashup, is the cruelest thing that she's ever done. Do you know about this, Freddie?
I
Because
do
you're
not
also
actually.
okay, so because you're not really on the internet. Okay,
I
so
am on the internet.
yeah, but
I
you need to be
just
on the right side of the internet. So essentially,
the right side of
she does the acoustic section, and when did it start where she started doing the mashups? Was it in Japan? I mean, she did a couple, and I'm trying to think like what was the first one because I just remember like screaming and being like, "Oh my gosh, she did a mashup!" But she started doing these mashups, and they're obviously incredible. And it was when 1999 came out, when she did Out of the Woods and um the new song, Is It Over Now, or something like that.
Yeah.
And combined those together, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. Anyway, so she's been doing them a lot while she's been on Australia, and they're just like killer. It was like Haunted, Should Have Said No, like
All the
every time.
bangers.
Yeah, like she did three of songs put together. I can't name all of them because I could go through my text messages and but the idea is right now she's trying to clear out all of her like surprise songs by April. So, because she was
She's
like,
still wait, she's still touring well into like next summer.
I know, because April, hold on, let me
Oh, I
get to
see.
the
I
point.
see where this is
The
going.
album was released in April,
I
and
see where this
so
is going.
yeah, she would have a good section, and then if she were to cut some songs from like Folklore, Evermore,